Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Two Girls Without Cancer. I'm your host, Becky.
Ashley.
And we are back with another fantastic guest today. Her name is Lesley, and she is a music educator, author, and speaker who had her own personal health journey that she had to overcome. Now, with this new change in her life, she didn't just heal herself. She didn't just fix herself. She's also teaching others around the world, other educators, how to overcome this. So as soon as I read her bio, I was like, yeah, we need this lady. We need to chat with her because I think a lot of people are really experiencing work fatigue, work burnout. You know, Ashley and I are not conventionally working these days. You know, we kind of have our own ventures happening, but I don't know about you, but I felt burnt out.
Always burnt out.
Yeah, well, I mean, you were a server. Like, that is hard work.
Yeah, and I did that sometimes 12-hour days.
Absolutely not. And I didn't have like a high stress job. I was a purchasing manager for a construction company, but like I hated it. I felt burnt out emotionally just being there. So I'm very interested to chat with Lesley here to hear what she has to say about everything. So I'll bring her in. Welcome to the show, Lesley.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning. Yeah. So tell us, where are you from, first of all?
I'm Seattle. We're just starting summer here, so we're getting the sunny days finally. The sogginess is stopped.
Yeah, you guys get a lot of rain there, don't you?
Oh, we do. But now we get it, and it looks beautiful all spring or summer now. So.
This is true. You know, I always wonder, like, would I rather have less snow but then more rain, like for an early spring? I don't know. Snow sucks. Don't get me wrong. Snow sucks, but like we get a lot of really sunny, snowy days. So
nice.
What really we all need to just move to a tropical island somewhere.
Sign me up.
Sign me up. Yeah, exactly. So why don't you give everybody like an introduction to who you are and how you came across this life path, basically?
Well, sure. I am a big nerd, band geek, if you will, for my whole life as a student and as a child of a band director and the grandchild of a music educator. So my whole life, I knew I was going to be a band director.
Wow.
And I did. I'm in year 37 of doing it, and I love my job. I love my job, but it was killing me. There was like this vivid turning point. Well, first of all, the job I had for most of my career, I taught high school band in a very large school where I was responsible for everything. My first class started every day at 6:30 in the morning. 6:30 in the morning, the jazz band blasting in my faces. Yes, that's real. And then it would go all day of teaching, of course. And then as a band teacher, you've got the after school rehearsals and the pet band events and trips and meetings and practicing. And it was, oh my God, it was just overwhelming. And I loved it, but it got to be an unhealthy cycle because everything became my identity, my job, and I justified it all. I was raising 3 kids, right? So I had 3 kids 4 years apart while doing this, but they were part of my high school band program when they got there. So I just gave everything I got as a teacher and as a mom, and it was all awesome until it wasn't. Until I realized, my God, I have had 14 major surgeries. I've got, I was on a dozen different pills every day for anxiety, depression, ADHD, stuff to help me sleep, stuff to help me stay awake, pain pills, anti-inflammatories. I should be dead. I should be dead. And I would often, a balanced meal for a lot of the time would be a bottle of wine in one hand and the glass in the other after a long day if I didn't have an evening activity because I was just exhausted and numb. And then, of course, that stuff doesn't do great things for your body when you have that toxic stuff and imagine the stimulation that goes with hearing 300 kids a day playing instruments for hours and hours and hours. And I loved it, but it became too much. And it manifested itself in hospital stays, in major surgeries, and all those things I talked about, and the mental terror. But the absolute, like, oh my God moment came when my best friend, Lori, she's a choir teacher at the other high school in our district. She and I have kids the same age. We walked together because we live in the same neighborhood. Just life was good until it wasn't. And I got the call. She'd gone to her doctor because things weren't going very well. She wasn't feeling good, just a little something. And when she called me, I was in my car. And I remember pulling over because I could hear her voice. I'm like, this is not good news. I was almost shaking as I got into the strip mall parking lot and the rain's pouring down there. And I turn off the car and she says, Lesley, it's stage 4 ovarian cancer.
Oh, jeez.
Shit. Shoot. I mean, it was like, I didn't know what to even say or do. Our whole worlds just fell apart.
Yes.
And for the next couple of years, it was, what could she do to get healthy? But she'd gone too far. before she could do it. She couldn't turn it around. There were some things to kind of postpone it, but inevitably she passed away. But that was my wake up moment. Like, oh my God, if I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to keep these same healthy things going or unhealthy things going, and I'll be next. And so I remember vividly one weekend I stayed with her because her husband had to go somewhere and she couldn't care for herself anymore. And she had seen all the things I had been doing to turn my life around, which included things like, I know it sounds silly, but I went to my doctor last time and he wrote another prescription. I threw it away as I left. Like, this isn't the solution.
Yes.
But anyway, Lori had seen that then when I decided that wasn't the solution and I had started some unconventional things, naturopathic stuff, I started taking control and ownership of everything I could for my own body. It was a process. How do I wean myself off the pills? How do I become healthier? And how do I do all the things I need to do so I can survive and maybe even thrive? And Lori saw what I was doing as she was going the opposite direction. And she said that weekend to me, Lesley, you got to write a book. You got to tell other people what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, you know what I'll do? And I wrote basically a lesson plan for teachers. So my book is called I Love My Job, But It's Killing Me. And it takes people through first self-assessment, like where are you in your health journey, your mental and physical wellness, those quizzes kind of things. And then it takes people through the steps that they can do to start turning their health around if they set some goals and the like. And the book I didn't come up with something, hey, here's my solution and then use it. What I did is after I completely turned my health, I'm off all those pills. I am no longer in pain. I don't have the inflammation. I haven't had any surgeries. I have sick leave banked in my district now after running out of it years and years. And I'm 75 pounds lighter than I was. So I did all kinds of things to take care of myself. Yeah, but it was a whole lot of hard work. And so I really analyzed what was it that let me do those things. And I found 4 areas where I made big changes that took care of almost everything.
I'm writing notes here. I need the secrets.
Here we go. Well, I'm going to tell you. You ready? I call it the mPowered method because all of the 4 things start with the letter M. One is a mindful approach to things. And that means I used to go like, oh my God, shut up with the mindfulness stuff. My eyeballs would roll in the back of my head. But then I started realizing mindful means paying attention. Pay attention to what you're putting in your mouth. Is this what you want? Pay attention to the habits you have that just might be leading to a path you don't want to go down, but you're not thinking about it. So I started really just paying attention to things. And the things I paid the most attention to were the meals I ate. And I learned that food is medicine. The crap that we buy at the stores, processed foods, it's not there to help us feel better. And it doesn't. And my body couldn't tolerate a lot of that stuff. So I had to figure out, what can my body eat? What meals help me feel better and energize me? And miraculously and easily lose 75 pounds and maintain it without effort, because my body, now I know what my body likes and thrives on. So the meal piece, mindful meals. Movement was another piece. If you don't move your body, it's harder to move. I wore a back brace for 6 years when I was in middle school and high school, which was really awesome. Those, your formative years, you want to look all cool. And you got metal rods down your back and things around your shoulders to support you. Super
Did you have scoliosis?
No, I had epiphysitis, which was it was really painful. And I've had rods and titanium rods and screws in my neck and back to fix all of that. But what fixed it more really was the movement that I started doing. I learned to use yoga and other, things in my body to teach my body to move in ways that didn't hurt. It honestly hurts less too when I carry around the weight that's appropriate for the frame I've been given. It doesn't put the pain in my joints, so I don't need pain pills. The inflammation's not bad because the meals I eat now don't cause inflammation. I know what foods to eat to reduce inflammation instead of more pharmaceuticals. So the mindful approach to meals and movement. And then as a music teacher, of course, music is that other piece. We all know about playlists to get you jazzed up, to go work out or maybe to help you sleep or eating or anything, things that can help change your mood, of course. But the other piece of this that is magical, and I've only discovered in like the last 8 to 10 years, is using things like frequencies to help with things. Oh my God, I used to take sleeping pills to help me sleep every night. Now I have frequencies that I put on very quietly in my room at night. And those frequencies respond to my body responds to that and just starts to calm down and go into really deep, refreshing, restorative sleep. And
I keep hearing that.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Amazing. And you can use it for all kinds of things. If you need to be creative, you listen to certain things that put you in different brainwave states. And music, just in every aspect, whether it's playing music as a music teacher, I got so involved in teaching that I didn't ever sit and play for almost 25 years. I didn't sit in a group and play my trombone like I used to do. And about a year and a half ago, I started playing music again in an all-women's concert band with 80 of us here in Seattle. And that joy that comes with that community. Music does it in so many ways, right? The physical music, the listening to it, the people you're with. And so that's what really changed it for me, was being mindful about my meals, my movement, and the music I use to help me.
Amazing.
And I'm a different person than I was. I am much more stable. I don't even know where to start. I go to the doctor for preventative care now, not twice a month because I'm sick and I need another prescription.
That's what I want.
Lesley, you're making me so happy listening to you. Like, you're filling my heart with just so much positivity. I love it.
But the way you say it, you know, it comes from the heart and the soul, and that you worked really, really hard to be where you are today, and you didn't give up.
And I had to go against what we've all been taught, right? Go to the doctor. The people in the white coat will write you a prescription, and that they're the gods of everything. I had to understand that it's my responsibility. They can tell me what to do, but they don't always tell me what was working. It got me out of their office for a while. It covered up a symptom maybe, but I've gotten to root cause. Get rid of the inflammation instead of take anti-inflammatories. I'm telling you, inflammation is the root cause of everything. All disease comes from inflammation. And so that was key. And I remember asking my doctor, my regular doctor, before I found the naturopath, I said, it was one of my last appointments. I said, you keep giving me these anti-inflammatories. What is inflammation bad? I mean, I was super naive. I didn't know. He goes, oh, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, could anything be causing this inflammation that I could do anything about? He goes, usually it's in diet and all of that stuff. And so probably not, just take these pills. He was wrong. He was so wrong. He was wrong. I learned how my body can handle its own, or be its own healer.
You know our body's best.
Oh my gosh, sure we do. And I mean, yeah, I went to an acupuncturist once, and he explained to me, because I had all these issues going on, and it was the first kind of thing I had done outside of natural or regular medicine that I had grown up with. And I was telling him about gut issues I was having. And he starts putting these needles like in my forehead and on my foot. I'm like, he did not even listen to what I said. He's as far as that is to be. I was about to write him off. And then I asked him, I go, why are you doing that? And he talked about the meridians and all the connections. And pretty soon I started to almost feel these electrical currents. And it was just fascinating to me. I thought, there's so much out there I don't know. It's been a huge learning curve. And taking all the things that I had been taught, in the past about how we think about medicine, and rethinking it, and just having to trust my own body to tell me what it needs, and really pay attention and listen to it. Be mindful. If I'm consistently not feeling well in a certain way, start analyzing, what am I doing, and what could be causing it.
Well, we both are like such a huge advocate for holistic wellness, because it's not just even one avenue. It's not just going to be acupuncture. It's not just going to be food. It's not just going to be music. It is a combination of all that wellness. And part of it, like we had an episode about holistic health, more of like a general overview, but part of that was that work piece as well. It was like how you're feeling when you're stressed at work, or you're not included at work, or you don't feel like it's a community for you, and just how that also can trigger that sort of stress for you. So like that holistic piece is literally every aspect of your life and then some.
Yes. 100%.
And like I know we both are so grateful for what we went through, because the knowledge that we've gained from all the research that we've done to be able to understand things, be able to help ourselves, help our family, help others. I mean, I wouldn't change it for the world. What I went through, it was hard, but it's brought me to
I
the
would have
woman I am
changed
today.
not having cancer probably, but
I mean, I wouldn't change it.
But you're right. I'm thankful for the knowledge.
If I didn't go through that, I would have still been naive as I was prior to, because I thought I was healthy. I meal prepped. I was in the gym 6 days a week. I was a full-time mom. I worked full-time, and I thought I was healthy. And then after, it really humbles you going through something, and then you're like, oh my God. Then you start doing research and you start understanding things differently. Doctors aren't going to tell you about holistic. I didn't know about any of that stuff until I got sick.
Well, pharmaceuticals don't want you to know about it either.
No, of course not.
Money, they can keep us sick enough to come back for the medicine, and the doctors get the kickbacks. And
we keep hearing, like, on the people or on the episodes of people we interview, it seems to be the same theme amongst everyone is I was getting burnt out. I was
Mhm.
overwhelmed. I was taking on too much. I wasn't doing enough
Yeah.
self-care. And it sort of is the same thing that, like, how do they put it? Like, disease is just dis-ease. Like, you're
Mhm.
uncomfortable, your body's uncomfortable, and that's what leads to
Then all your
diseases.
emotions set in your whole
Yeah.
body in different places, and then it, rots you from the inside out.
And then everything in the world that just feels so crazy and out of control, it's easy to just say, screw it all.
And no
But
wonder why that COVID stuff, whenever that happened, it literally shut everyone down, got everyone paranoid, got everyone scared. And then what did our bodies do? We lived in fight or flight for how long, right?
Well, I think a lot of people are still suffering
Oh, of course
from
they
that.
are,
Like,
right?
they haven't actually ever recovered from
Don't touch me.
well, not even
Don't
that,
hug
but just
me.
the stress that happened during
Oh,
that
yeah,
time
with
as well. You can see
working.
mental health has taken a huge nosedive in younger kids too,
Yeah.
like, who
In the
couldn't
place I used to live
process.
in, there was a lot of suicides within that COVID. And they were
I,
people my age, our age.
It's terrible.
I
Yeah.
see a lot of students, band kids. And I was teaching
Right.
high school at the time, and those are the kids that pretty much do what they're supposed to do. They do all the homework
Right.
because the promise of, you'll graduate, you'll
Right.
go to all
Mhm.
those things.
And because they're
And then
part of
they
a
have
community, there's a
right.
protective
Mhm.
factor in that.
Right. And then in my kids, that in May of 2020, we were supposed to fly to New York and perform at Carnegie Hall. And then, of course, the rugs ripped out from under them on March 13th, 2020, when everything shut down.
It's heartbreaking.
And well, yeah, but it also, I think, gave kids this attitude, like, or this feeling like, well, it doesn't matter what I do because it could all be lost at any time. So almost
Why?
giving up. And that worries me and concerns me because
Yeah.
some people start to lose hope, and that impacts our health so much too.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, it really does. And I think too that that extra piece for children was that they didn't have the cognitive development to
They didn't.
understand
Or to see people's faces.
to understand that pharmaceutical piece. They couldn't understand that, like, government control piece. All they heard was, oh my gosh, like, if we go outside, if we talk to our friends, if we socialize, we're going to kill someone, we're going to die. So I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was a horrible time for children,
Even the
especially, but
younger ones, like the little guys.
Yeah.
They didn't see expressions. Everyone was
sure.
in masks, so all they seen was eyes. So they couldn't, the happy, sad emotions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was a
Right.
crazy, crazy time.
yes, I'd like to
'Cause
forget
mine
that
was
time
little.
forever. I would love to forget that forever.
You should have tried teaching online band.
I cannot imagine. I just tried to homeschool my kids and it was hard
Jeez.
enough. I can't even imagine. My kid was in French immersion. Like, my older one, she was grade 4. She knew French immersion. She knew French. I didn't have to deal with her. She was a great student. My second grader did not know French. She tried her hardest, and they had gotten a new teacher right before COVID hit. She was from Africa, so African French, which is a lot different than Quebec French.
Yeah. Hey?
And I was like, girl, I don't know how to help you. I'm sorry. So, like, we're just going to fail grade 2. It's fine. I put her in English in
I
grade
was
3.
in French version as well. And you know what? After I think my second grade, I'm like, Mom, I'm done.
It's hard work.
It is hard.
It is hard work. I can't imagine having to teach online during that time. How stressful.
Well, band is all about playing your instruments with other people. And now you're locked in your own room while your parents are saying, don't play that instrument. I have to be on a Zoom meeting for my work. And so now I've got to teach kids how to get onto Zoom and then come up with all new curriculum on the spot. Yeah, it was.
And I'm thinking too, like, an internet lag. So if everyone's trying to play in time and someone's internet's a little slower, what a nightmare. No wonder you were stressed out.
Yeah. But if the pandemic had hit 10 years ago, my coping mechanisms were not there. I would have fallen apart. I was mindful of, we're in a weird situation. I tried to maintain the routines as much as possible for myself and my students where we could. And I took a different approach to it than I would have if I hadn't gone through what like you said, Ashley. I'm glad I went through all I went through because it's given me so much more, a bigger toolkit for myself and for others.
I think a lot of us don't even understand that we don't know how to cope. So I've been seeing an occupational therapist lately, never seen one my entire life, but I figured, like, as I transition off of disability and into working again, let's see an occupational therapist. And as it turns out, I don't cope with anything. All I do is just repress and move on. And so it's like I went there with the intention of like career counseling and like preparing myself for the workforce. What I'm coming out of there with
Working
is
on your stuff.
realizing that I don't know how to make meals again.
Mhm.
I don't know how to parent. I don't know how to clean up after, like, not that I'm
There's
living in
so
like a
many
disgusting
things.
filth or anything, but it's like things that I have taken for granted over these last 2 years that as like a human being, like I need to be doing properly. And then yesterday I brought my husband into the appointment for, our first time. And it was like, it was so emotional. And this is an occupational therapist, it's not a counselor, but it was like all of a sudden I'm like, the reason I take on so much and I feel overwhelmed and burnt out is because I actually don't want to deal with my emotions. I don't want to deal with what I'm feeling. So I just continue to keep myself busy. And as I alleviate busyness from myself, I'm starting to feel things again and I don't like it. So now I'm trying to pile it up
inside you.
and it's like, I
Cycle.
I left the appointment. I said to my husband, I don't think I have coping skills. Like I thought I was really good. I've always prided myself on being really positive. Like the glass is always half full, always with me. Sunshine and rainbows,
always, not me.
As it turns out, it's just because I don't know how to feel the negative side at all. So I like that you're talking about coping strategies and things like that because I need to learn them.
Well, I do with myself. I do a lot of breath work because I understand how that's our hearts are like a metronome. So as a music teacher, I use that with my students a lot. And every day in each of my classes, I spend the first 4 minutes going through a breath routine with them. And their heart rates, sometimes we'll take their heart rates at the beginning of that. And then we'll do the 4 minutes of breath work and then they take their pulse again. And I talk to them about their biometrics, right? Their heart rate went from faster when they come in the classroom all wound up and noisy to, and how I physiologically can help them change and give them that mental, it's like a snow globe. If you take a snow globe and shake it up, that's what middle schoolers coming into the band room are like, just chaos. And when we take you can't hold a snow globe and move around and still see what's inside because that glitter stuff's flying around. But if you set it down, it just takes a few moments, but you just got to let it calm down. And kids are like that. We're all physiologically built like that. And so when I went off my meds for ADHD, when I started this whole process, I said to my students, look, I'm still distracted. Don't get me wrong, but I have to learn some new skills to deal with that so that I can focus for you when you come in the room. Because I'll have just had another class of 55 kids with noise and I need to reset for you. So I can't leave the room to reset. So can you guys just do this with me? And so I taught them the routine so that I could reset. And by God, let me tell you what a bunch of kids look like. They look like limp Raggedy Ann dolls. When I
look like Ashley over here.
I mean, I used 528 hertz. I put on over the speaker, so it's supposed to be our heart chakra. But it's just a tone, so it covers any hallway noise that might happen or whatever. And then I turn off the lights and I put on our big screen like a kaleidoscope just to let their eyes rest on that, and just talking to them and talking them through 10 deep breaths and relaxation, and doing all that makes such a difference. Okay, Ashley, wake up. But that's what happens.
I can't breathe. So it's just, I got a good night's sleep, but for some reason I just can't suck it in. Yoga I've been going to, and it's actually been helping quite a bit.
Oh, for sure.
At the beginning of the class, they help you with that. And then you're mindful through the whole class, how you can actually breathe through holding your positions and stuff. It's hard.
That's a big part with music too, because to teach them to breathe properly so they have that capacity to pace their breath with their playing of their instruments. As Becky knows, as a former band student, right?
But that was in the 90s when nobody really cared a whole lot about holistic health, or like my parents never taught me like you need to slow down and breathe and maybe not be super overstimulated and because they didn't know
any of this. I went to college in the 80s, and the only thing they taught us was how we could give to our students and to our communities and to our schools and everything else, never mind us. And that wasn't even a consideration.
And part of what's coming up in the occupational health, excuse me, is that I said, if I take a rest day, I feel like I'm being lazy. And there's something ingrained into us. I can't speak for men because I'm not one, but like as women of like our, millennials, Gen Z,
I think.
Gen X?
Gen X. Yeah, for sure. We feel
millennials and Gen X. And then of course, older, it's like you don't get to have downtime because that's time that you could be serving somebody else in your family.
Us through everything.
So when
your living closet needs to be clean, how dare you sit down?
Yeah,
right?
literally. So when my OTs, like, you need to like not book stuff on certain days, or like not take on clients, not do this. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, what do I do? She's
Mhm.
like, you relax, you do some self-care. And I'm like, no, that's lazy.
That was like when I got sick, I couldn't move. Like I had a lot of issues. I stayed in bed a lot, but my guilt was so bad that I would be crying all the time. My mom's like, "Do you have to heal?" She's like, "Just it's okay." And I'm like, "I can't do anything." Or then when I'd have a good day from being in bed for how many days, and then I get one day, and then I would try and do as much as I could, and then I'm burnt out again for another week.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just that guilt that you have inside
One
of you.
one of the tasks this OT had me do was write down hour by hour everything I did in a day for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at this list and I was
I
like,
can only imagine.
why did I go to the grocery store 8 times in 4 days? You know,
I could have
why
sent my
did I
husband. No.
yeah, like I just enjoyed it, I guess. I don't know.
Did you-
And then it also had like mood and energy, and I had to rate those on a
Mhm.
scale from 1 to 5 as well. And it was like all these times that I had like it packed up with
Mhm.
this event, this event, this event. It was like my mood
Empty.
and my energy were a lot lower, and that's what she keeps pushing. It's like you can't give to anybody
Mhm.
if you are empty, if you are burnt out. And she's like, and now look how many days after you have to recover because you overdid it. Now, you don't just overdo it physiologically, like you can also
Mentally.
overdo it mentally,
Mhm.
you know, like needing to be there for everybody at all times. I
Mhm.
find very exhausting lately.
Mhm. That was
You know,
the
my
same
brain
as-
was like that. Yeah, I could be home, but I was still thinking about school all the time. Like, what should I do
Yeah.
for this? Or let me go upstairs and lesson plan or whatever. And it's like, I'm over that. Let me tell you now. My
Yeah,
ego
right,
was
you
so
take
big, and I had, yeah. So
Like I think you can love your work and that's great and we all have to do it to pay our bills and get along, but like I also think that it should be a hard stop kind of when you leave. You know, and it's not for
and
most
it's
people.
hard.
Most
that's
people are working from home, and especially now, because it's so accessible to work from home
Mhm.
after hours.
Mhm.
And think about it. And on vacations, I know all my vacations, I was constantly working, and it's like it's not fun for everybody who comes with you
No,
on
and that's not
vacation.
fair, you know, from a
That's not
workplace.
fair. I remember having surgery in
I remember
2021,
you saying that.
and I
Crazy.
I took a nap when I got home, and then I woke up and I had to do emails. And then I had another surgery a year earlier than that. And I was literally emailing from my husband was pushing me to the car in my wheelchair, and I was emailing, and I got one that was like, why didn't you respond to my email? And I was like, I don't know. I was on the table having my
Had a
stomach
surgery.
fixed. Like, so it was like, it was everyone kind of puts this pressure on you. But if you don't set your own boundary, you
Mhm.
let them put that pressure on you.
And no
or,
consideration.
yeah, I remember sitting in chemo appointments with Lori with laptops. And that's where the phrase, I love my job, but it's killing me, came up. Is because, like,
No
why
kidding.
are you in chemo? And we're sitting here planning band festivals and choir festivals.
Mhm.
This is absurd. And I remember one of the people who helped me get better was a therapist
Mhm.
to help me, do things like set boundaries. And she said, I was telling her a story about I had amazing parents and band parents and all this, but there were one or two that overstepped some serious boundaries. And I'm
Mhm.
talking showing up at my house to turn in late assignments so that a
Stop.
kid, no, not even kidding. And
Yeah.
literally, as I'm telling the therapist this, my phone kept buzzing. She goes, "Do you want to check that as an emergency?" And I look, and it was the woman that had been
No.
harassed.
The parent.
And she goes, "Okay,
Yeah.
you have a problem." She doesn't. You haven't put up boundaries that are visible enough to her. She said, "So your homework," and this was in August,
Mhm.
many years ago. She said, "Your homework is to write a cover letter for your syllabus that outlines things like boundaries, when you
Good
are
idea.
available, when people and how people should contact
Don't you
you."
dare show up at my house.
Well, and she said, "Do you want people to have your personal phone number anymore?" Blah blah blah. And I was like, "Oh." And so I wrote it all up, and I was terrified because it said, "I'm available between these hours. Please use school email to contact me."
Mhm.
Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. And I was like, "Oh, I'm such an important person. This is really going to upset people." The ego again. And I sent that out,
Mhm.
and I was prepared. And I did get several emails from parents about this, and every email said, "Good for you. We've been watching people
Wow.
take advantage." And I was like, "Yeah." And it was
Oh, I thought
important.
they were being mean. I was like,
It
oh,
made it made for well, I was expecting the mean, honestly, but
okay.
it
Good.
made for a healthier environment. And
Glad it worked.
when kids understood too that I wasn't just going to, "Oh, you didn't learn it in class, I'll stay after school and help you again." No, if you're
Mm-mm.
working your butt off in class and still need help, sure. But if you're farting around in class,
Mhm.
that's well, I'm not staying after school to help you anymore. And I know that sounds harsh and horrible,
Mhm.
but you know what? We became a whole lot more
No.
efficient with our class time.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and parents respected the boundaries, and the like, and my admin was super supportive, but it was really hard. It was hard because I'm a people pleaser, and the band, they'd always want the band. Oh, could the band come play for this? Just one more event. They didn't understand if I just took the band to an event, it was board approval for a field trip, all the forms, I mean, just everything. So nothing was just a quick show up and play a song and leave again. And I had to learn, how, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no, right? I had to really look at, is this really good for my students, my program, and for me?
I'm going to remember that.
Is not hell yes, no, yeah. And that's the way I've started to do things. And sometimes I love that. I feel a little bit bad if I say no, but I don't feel as bad as I do if I'm showing up to something that I really resent.
That's true. I took a phone call the other night from my mom. Well, actually, I had to call her. I just needed to ask one question, but my husband knows if I'm calling my mom or she's calling me, that's a 45-minute phone call. My mom lives down the street from me, but we have these phone calls. So it's 10 o'clock at night. We're watching a show, and I was like, I have to call my mom and ask her a question. And he was like, and I said, no, it's going to be 1 minute. I promise. And so I get on the phone with her and I said, Mom, I have 1 minute to ask you a question. She goes, why only 1 minute? And I said, because I don't want to be on the phone for 45 minutes. And then I felt bad about it. But then I was like, no. And then she actually heard it and was like, she answered my question and was like, now go, get off the phone and go. And so I told OT this yesterday, and she goes, and do you think you would feel bad if your friend called you and said, hey, I only have 1 minute to ask you this question? I said, no, not at all. She goes, so don't feel bad that you did that. I set a boundary that I've never had before. And it was nice because I find I'm just more like, avoiding everything because I want to people please. And so at one time in my life, I'd have all my emails answered, all my texts answered, all my messages answered, Instagram, everything was done. Now I've got piles of them where it's like, I can't keep up because it's like, if I don't have all to give to them, I have to give them nothing. And it's like, I'd like to give them like a partial amount, but I'm not there right now. I'm in that like,
well, and that's being mindful, right? You're using that piece and where you are in your life and your kids, and that changes. That's what I've learned too. I mean, I loved teaching high school band. I mean, that was my goal the whole time. I did it for decades. But then I became mindful of the fact that I'm almost 60 years old. I don't need a 6:30 a.m. class. I'm still up at that hour, but I don't want to be listening to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, exactly. That's your time.
So, and so I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll have to leave teaching and all. Long story short, I swapped jobs with the middle school band director. We're on the same campus. I'm in the same community, but I only work from 11 to 3 now.
There you go.
Part-time. That's doable. Yep. And I teach 4 classes a day. And so again, I wouldn't have wanted to do my whole career like that, but it's perfect now. And so, and then the next step obviously would be like retirement down there. So we have to be mindful of, as our life circumstances change, so can our goals and our desires and the way we handle them.
Yeah. Did you find, I know for Ashley and I, it definitely did, like just your health really did change your perspective because all of a sudden you're aware of like how important you actually are. Like you yourself are such an important being and your health is obviously number one to you. And so like I found that both of our perspectives on friends, socializing, people pleasing, all of that has changed over these last 2 years because I don't know.
It's such a breath of fresh air.
I just feel like I don't have time to people please.
I can breathe.
And you get to know who you are. And then here's what I am, like it or not. I'm not going to turn into what you need me to be anymore. And that was a huge growth thing.
If you keep allowing it, that just shows what you'll put up with people.
Well,
and that's awful.
I think for people pleasers and non-boundary havers, we really want to go that extra step to make sure we're well liked and to make sure everyone's comfortable and happy. At your demise, really, like at your expense. So it's like, I haven't gone back into an office setting for work, but like before I'd always want to like, oh, let's go for drinks. Oh, let's get to know it. Now I don't care. Don't invite me to anything.
I don't want to go. I was like, no, I'd rather go.
No, and I was always out at the expense of my family time or me time or whatever.
When I was younger, I was more like,
no, I was always like this. No boundaries. Oh, someone's got a thing to take on. Well, I'll take on more. Like the other day, I showed my husband, I'm like, I bought this binder. I bought these binder sheets or whatever. I'm going to make this whole thing for my kids' track and field club. And he goes like this. Did you just take on another thing? And I said, yeah, but the track meet just happened a week ago. That means I have an entire year to do it. Now, granted, next May will come and then I'll start to do it.
It'll be a last minute thing then, right?
But I was like, I don't feel overwhelmed taking this on. Number one, it was my idea. Nobody asked me to do it. Number 2, I just love a good organization.
Yeah.
And number 3, I'm here to do it. So like that was like a constructive thing that I took on, but he saw it and he was just like, are you serious right now?
It was a hell yes for you.
It was a hell
It
yes
looks
for
like,
me.
yeah,
It was
I mean, I
like,
can tell from the way you're talking about it that
I was
that's something
passionate.
she feels
excited.
good.
Yeah, because it was like we went and we set up for this track meet and it was chaos. And everyone kept complaining to me about how chaotic it was.
You're like,
And I
I'll
was
fix
like,
it.
and it was
I
like,
got this.
I'm like, not only am I going to fix it, but like everyone's going to know that
better.
Becky fixed it. You know, it was a hell yeah for me.
It's a great feeling, actually.
But it's like things like that, they fuel me. I don't feel burnt out by it.
But you have to
there
make
are
room for those.
definitely-
You have to make room for those things by not doing the other things that don't allow you to do the things that bring you joy.
That's what I've been taught. If you're doing a whole bunch of things that aren't, you know, they're serving others and not you. I mean, yeah, obviously serving others is very important, but like if you're feeling burnt out from those things, then you need to start
Step
dropping them and start upping. Like my husband said yesterday, if you have an unbalanced scale where you're doing this a day and it serves other people and there's none for you, well, maybe you need to add something to
level it out.
tip. I don't know. I'm still working on it. We're works in progress.
I think every single one of us, until the day that we go, we're always working on something.
That's fair. If you're not, then
I was going to say, or we're not. And there was a long, you know, when we're not working on ourselves and we're so busy working on other things. For me, I had to get so bad that I ignored things or covered up symptoms for as long as I possibly could until I was like, I am at a fork in the road. I'm going to go this way or that way, and I can't. If I go that way, it's over.
There's just such a stagnancy in your life though if you live like that. Like for me, I am that go-getter where I'm like personal development, get better, be the best version of myself. I know a lot of people are not like that. They're okay letting life happen to them. They're okay being the victims, you know, where everything is bad for them. But it's like for me, it's like I know how hard I'm struggling and I am in that mindset of like go out and get better. So I can't imagine like the mental piece going on in people's heads who actively have no idea that there is a root cause to things. You know, these people who are on 10 medications who think, oh, well, my body's doing this, my body's doing that. I can't do anything to change it. Like I can't
they're
imagine.
also told that, and they're scared into that.
Yeah, that was you. You're right.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, for me, it took a rock bottom. It took it was 2016, I think, 2017 in the spring. And that was a day in March when I came home from school and I said to my husband, I can't go back. I cannot go back. And it was a mental as much as physical. I didn't leave my house for like 2 months. I exhausted all the sick leave and went without pay for a while. It was not good. And then that's when I started that whole process of either I got to get better or I'm going to die. It was pretty obvious that I wasn't going the right way. So that's when I started the whole process. So I didn't see my students from March until the following September. When I walked in, because I get kids year after year, right, through high school. And I walked in September and they're like, Miss Moffat. They didn't recognize me. Not only the weight, but I think I carried myself differently. And it was really interesting.
Chills.
It was really interesting to be able to share that with the kids and to say, I have to. I told them a bit of my story. I didn't go into tons of detail, but I said I've really had to work hard at becoming healthier because I started to see what was happening, and part of it was this job. And so things are going to change.
And look up to you and see how much hard work you put into yourself, and that you become a role model for them, not only as a band teacher, but as an inspiration in what you've
done. But a badass band teacher. An
well,
overcomer.
Because that's an important life lesson there. Because they're all going to have life challenges. They may not be band teachers, but life's going to be hard for them. Their health is going to go. And how do you deal with it? How you respond to those challenges is determines what the next steps are for you. And I realized that prescription after prescription to cover things up was finally not working anymore.
No, it isn't going to work. Eventually, like your organs are going to be like, we've had enough of this.
Because they
the side effects. I know. And then the side effects, you might accidentally do all these things that happen, or, it's like, those are way worse than the initial thing almost. I mean, it's terrible. So
I know. I met a guy recently who was on like 8 different things, and I put them in the drug interaction checker. And it was like, some of them were
hurting him,
making it worse. Like, what is your doctor thinking? And it's like, listen, I'm not going to tell you to get off of your meds. However, you may want to consider that everything that you're on is kind of leading in the same direction, and that's like your health, like your eating, your diet, your exercise. Like it really is.
But I also find that the pharmacists know more than doctors when it comes to prescriptions and what can intertwine with each other. Yeah.
Well, they have to. I hope so. They've been paid.
You would think the doctor would know, but unfortunately,
we could go down that rabbit hole forever. So as we come to the end of our show here, why don't you just let everybody know how they can find you, how you can help out. Like I put your website under your picture there, mpowerededucator.com. But I know you have other ways of contacting you. So just let everybody know.
Yeah, well, best thing to do is if anybody else is out there on this journey and you're like, oh my God, I feel like crap. What do I do to turn it around? With your permission, I'll be happy to share a link. We put in the show notes something to get a free download of that book so that anybody that wants to go through and do that self-assessment and start looking for solutions can do it. That's what I wrote the book I needed. That I wish I had. And
it's good learning.
Yeah, it is. It teaches a lot, when you're going through that writing process, teaches a whole lot about yourself and stuff.
Self-discovery. And even if it just helped yourself, I mean, so you put it on, put it on paper and that helped you. So, I mean, obviously everyone's going to be touched by this. Like everyone who's hearing you and thinking that's me, they're going to be touched by this.
Yeah, you don't have to be a band teacher to know what burnout feels like, to know what feeling crap feels like, to go through those things. I did. I do it through the lens of a mom who's also a band director, but so many people can still relate to that. So
even just a full-time mom, that's exhausting.
Yeah,
well, literally.
Yeah, and being pregnant while doing the working and then nursing in between classes. Oh yeah, all of it. But again, it was part of who made me what I am now, and I feel like I'm stronger now because of all that. And now hopefully I can coast a little more.
Yeah, you have this like air of like, I don't want to say
around her.
I don't even want to say like confidence, but just like peace.
I am. I am at peace finally. I am. And I didn't used to feel that.
I love that. I love that. Well,
great.
Thank you so much for being here, Lesley. Again, mpowerededucator.com. Probably the best way to reach out to you. Everything will probably come directly to you, I would imagine, if someone contacts you there. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Isn't that great?
That is great.
But it's so nice to see like when people recognize, they see that they might be going down something, they don't know what's going on, and then they're like, you know what, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And I got this.
Because I think that story is like so underutilized now.
It is.
People are like, oh, I'm feeling sick. Let's see what my doctor has to say.
And then it's like, okay, well, whatever they say has to be right because they took an oath and they're going to do this.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. So I feel very inspired. Like I do all of these interviews. Yeah, all these interviews.
But
I feel super inspired with everybody. But like, just hearing Lesley's story about that overwhelming taking on too much, just like,
and then having to watch her friend pass away from something because she got into that too, and like overwhelmed and work, and like, oh, it's just
like, I don't know about you, but if anything is motivating to be better, it's getting sick. It's cancer.
Oh, that really does. Right.
So
Changes your life.
I love the 4M approach. Mindfulness. It's amazing. Meals, music, movement. Yeah. Like, so you're just telling me that I just have to like eat properly and move and have some joy in my life. And it's like,
not hard
it is such a simple recipe, but it's such an like underappreciated or undercredited prescription.
The moving one is really, it hits home for me because with my SIBO and laying and the toxicity my body was in, and then I had to, it took everything in me just to fight, get out of that bed and go on that trampoline. I couldn't jump. I had just up on my heels, up and down. And that's what kind of started me this last time to restart myself. Yeah. And it's so important.
That's
and
crazy.
People don't understand.
Yeah, movement's huge. But I'm just thinking like the music piece too. Like there's just something about putting on a good song.
I'm
like,
getting into music now.
For me, before. Oh really? Yeah. For me, it's like 70s rock, even into the 80s. Like something like if I put on Sticks, you probably don't even know Sticks. No. If I put on Sticks, it's like my mind is taken into like the most magical place.
I'm obsessed with country.
See, and I don't. Country doesn't do that for me. Country makes me feel depressed. But like 70s rock does that for me.
See how we're all different.
Well, yeah, exactly. Everyone is so different. Anyways, we are back next week. I will make a disclaimer. Our last episode, I didn't tell you this. Our last episode was YouTube jailed again.
Oh, I did. What? Okay.
I said the word coffee enema,
Oh,
and I just said it. And they were like, nope, medical misinformation. So we are in YouTube jail again. Hopefully this episode will be up on Tuesday. This coming, what day is it today? Today is the 5th. So on the 12th, or no, the 10th, it should be up. So we'll see. But anyways, we are on Spotify. We are on Rumble. We are on Apple Podcasts. And those places for sure do not censor us. So we will for sure be there, but hopefully on YouTube also. So check us out every Tuesday at Two Girls Without Cancer.
Thanks, guys.